Warning: this podcast discusses paranormal activity and other topics some might find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley.
And I'm Daniel.
And welcome to Ghost Gossip. How's everybody? How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. I'm okay.
I say I'm good.
I'm good for the purpose of this recording.
Yes.
I had a really weird dream last night.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I worked at a hospital or if I was a detective or if I was some kind of investigator, but I've worked with patients in a hospital, but I also worked with inmates, which is close to what I do now, except I'm not an investigator or anything like that. I work within the court system, but I deal with the hospital, I deal with police, I deal with investigators every day. And so I was at this hospital, but it was also like it was in the middle of an investigation somewhere. And there was a person missing, and somebody that I know from Instagram was incarcerated for the crime, but she had been wrongly convicted, and her husband ended up also incarcerated. And so she ended up getting out, but he was still in, and they were trying to figure out where this missing woman was. And there was a psychopath who was actually responsible for all the crimes. And it was like he was a puppeteer and he was controlling everything that was going on.
So the psychopath was the puppeteer?
Yes. And he was kind of controlling.
So he was controlling your friend on Instagram and her husband. Is that correct?
It wasn't really controlling them in a sense but he was kind of controlling the circumstances in which they were convicted or arrested.
Okay.
And so he was just kind of behind the scenes doing mind games with people. And he was very good at doing mind games and controlling the outcomes. It was really weird. And it wasn't so much like strings attached to hands.
Right.
But it was very much he was controlling everything. And I can see his face. And I remember I could see my friend from Instagram's face and her husband's face in their mugshots. Because I remember when I saw it, I was like, that can't be right. That can't be right. That is bizarre. So I started investigating, and I figured out that it was this known criminal who was controlling everything. But you don't know this criminal in real life?
Yeah.
No. You know that meme where he's like, my name's Patricia. It's from a movie.
No.
Okay. I've seen it on Facebook. That's who it was. Okay. So I don't know him. But everybody else in my dream, I did know. Everybody else in my dream is somebody that I deal with every single day, or I see on Instagram every single day.
Gotcha.
But the person that was actually responsible for the crime was the actor from that movie, whoever it was. And he's like, my name's Patricia, or that was Patricia. I have no idea what movie that's from because I don't watch scary movies.
No, I don't know. So
I got a tip that there was a car and a body at the bottom of a body of water near the hospital/prison where my friend and her husband were being held. And so instead of draining the lake, I put spotlights in the water and had them rigged up all at the bottom of the water and turned them on, and was able to see the entire bottom of this body of water.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, I know. I was really crafty, but like all these like waterproof lights were lining the water. But I guess my theory in my dream was I don't want to drain it and nothing be there. I'll drain it if there's something there. And so I lit up the water from underneath, and you could see straight down, and there was a car and there was a body.
Weird.
That was my dream. But yeah, that was my dream. It was super vivid. It was like I was watching a movie, but I was part of the movie.
Yeah.
So it was my dream that I was in, but it was like a movie.
Yeah.
And then I was really aggressive. I didn't play any games with people around me. I was kind of a bitch. I mean, I am in real life, but I really was. I was like I like to think that I am a considerate bitch in my day-to-day life. Like, I don't take anything, but I try to be nice about it. I'm like, no, that's not right. Or, okay, I understand, but we need to do it this way if it's for work or something. But I was not like that. I was very like, no.
Angry.
I was a little aggressive. But then again, I was searching for somebody and I was trying to catch the psychopath. Patricia, but that's not Patricia. That was not his name. I don't know what his name was. But he was like psycho looking in my dream and I can see his face. And it looked like that actor, whatever movie that was. But that was my dream.
Yeah, I had a series of very short, fragmented dreams. It's always weird to me when you have very vivid dreams, and I do too. And they don't necessarily always line up, but it just kind of always interests me. So what I remember of my dreams or last night were that there were bright colors. Everything was like very angular and geometric, but like sharp angles. And then it was kind of like the dream was like flashing. It wasn't like a steady movie. It was like a flash of a scene, then another flash, then another flash. And
you don't remember anything?
No, and then it would like go to something else, and then it would come back to that. It was just jumping all around. It was very, very fragmented and weird.
We did eat Taco Bell before bed. Maybe it was something in those tacos.
I don't know. I remember early this morning, I was dreaming, and I could feel my body like shaking.
Really?
Like my muscles twitching.
Yeah.
And it was almost like old wallpaper and the silhouette of a spider.
What?
Like a pattern.
Creepy.
Of like,
my dad would love that part.
But it was like not just like one singular spider, but like a series of silhouettes of spiders, in perfect like rows, and it was just like flashing. Yeah.
Were you awake at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense then. Dreams are weird, like especially so I have, and we're going to talk about this because Valerie kind of touched on this during her reading, is I have this weird ability to come in and out of dream states, like actual dream states. Yeah. And when I wake up, I can go back where I was in my dream.
Yeah, I can do that.
And it's very strange.
I can literally be dreaming, wake up, go to the bathroom, lay back down, go to sleep, and if I concentrate, put myself back in that dream where I left off.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, there was one time that my dreams is usually a place where my past loved ones have talked to me before and communicated with me and visit me. And I have before felt like they were overwhelming me in my dreams. And Daniel knows I have woken up out of my dreams and said, let me sleep, and then gone back to sleep and picked up wherever I was. Okay, so what today's episode is about is not about dreams technically, but the reason that I wanted to start with a dream is because she touched on my sleeping and my dream states in my first reading. So last Saturday, I had my very first psychic reading with the Valerie Boyce. She is out of Canada, and you can find her on social media, The Intuition Witch. I came across her on Selena Spooky Boo's YouTube page. And there was something about her that I was really drawn to. And so I went and found her on Instagram and just followed her and was like, I am really skeptical of psychics and mediums because I think that it's not that I don't believe they don't exist. It's just that I believe with today's technology, you can find more tools to investigate situations and people who are really good at hunting down information and people who are really good at picking up social cues enough to be able to quote unquote read people. And so it's easier to find somebody who's just really intuitive and really good and somebody who is savvy on the internet than you are going to find somebody who truly has a gift to read and feel and sense. So I was very skeptical, not so much of her, but just of the practice in general, because there are a lot of people out there that are like, I'm a medium, I'm a psychic. And
yeah, in the past, there's been a lot of people that are con artists that use that. Right.
So I've been very hesitant to ever reach out to anybody about anything like that. I've always been curious, but never have. I'm kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't really believe people easy.
It's not skeptical. It's
I don't trust people very easily.
What is the word?
I'm cautious of people. I don't like people very much, to be honest. I'm an introvert. I really don't like people. Daniel knows that. I like my people. So if you're my people, I love you and I will protect you fiercely. But if you're not my people, then I don't want anything to do with you. And I always joke with people at work, like, oh, they're dead to me. And they're like, uh-oh, you're on Ashley's list. Because they know once they're on my list, if somebody gets on my list, there's no coming off my list. I just write you off. I'm just like, whatever. Not even worth my energy.
I can't think of that word.
I can't either, but I know what I'm thinking about, but I can't think of it either. But I guess skeptical of people. I guess that maybe it does work in this.
There's a different word, though.
There is a different word that we're thinking of. And I think we're probably thinking of the same word. But I don't trust people very easily. I'm very suspicious of people. I do believe that most people have ulterior motives. And that is because of past trauma in my own life with marriages and past relationships and being lied to and abused and things like that. So I don't just trust people for what they say they are to me. I have to kind of feel them out. I have to watch and observe and listen myself before I actually will start trusting people. That's fairly accurate, correct?
Yes.
How long did it take me to let you in?
Truly?
Yeah.
Truly, probably
2 years maybe?
I was going to say 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah, that's
when, after that 18 months.
Yeah.
And then,
it was 2020.
That 6 months. Yeah. It was late 2020.
Yeah. So we got together we didn't get together we actually became Facebook friends in 2018. This is not a story about us, but just kind of in general to give you some background about Daniel and I. We became Facebook friends in 2018 and we did not meet until 2019 in person. He was going through a divorce. I was divorced already, but I was in my dating era and, was not very trusting of men in general. And I was a single mom. And so he kind of was sticking his, he would kind of tiptoe in and talk to me and then tiptoe out and then tiptoe in. He was very cautious. I think he could sense that I was very defensive and very, very guarded. I think that's a very good word. For me, I am very guarded with people. And he came he didn't barrel in, but he was just tiptoeing in and letting me know he was around and that he was interested. And I was just like, who are you? And we started dating, like officially dating in August of 2019. Now we were friends in 2019, but we weren't official until August 2019 when we finally announced it and we went public and we were he wanted me to meet his mom. And what did I say? Remember? Nope. I don't want, no. And he's like, why? I was like, it's not that I don't want to meet your mother, but I do not want to get family involved. I think it was September 2019 before I actually met your mom. Mm-hmm. So we started
It might have been even later.
It might have been even later than that. Yeah. And I was just I was very guarded. And then 2020 hit and 2020 was such a horrible time for a lot of people. We broke up. Oh, he's pointing a finger at me. He found the word.
Cynical.
I'm cynical? Is that the word you're going to use for me today? Am I cynical? There's such a negative
yeah, there is a negative connotation.
Thank you.
But with being a tough sell.
Yeah, I'm a tough sell.
You're a cynic. You're cynical.
Oh, well, wah.
I mean,
I would never have described myself as cynical. Jenny, if you're listening, will you come and tell me if I'm cynical, please? I'm in court 3 days this week, but
I don't think I wouldn't.
I'll be there Monday. Come and tell me if I'm cynical.
I wouldn't say you're necessarily cynical, but
I don't think.
But when it comes to stuff like that,
like with psychics and with people who,
or somebody trying to sell you something,
yes,
you are cynical in those
true.
situations.
I'm not a critic though. I'm not critical of a lot of people.
No.
I try not to be critical of people because I feel like there's enough critics in this world. But yet you're right. I am cynical when it comes to people in general. I don't trust people because of everything.
And that's not necessary. And it does usually carry a negative connotation.
It does.
But it doesn't always.
No. Jenny, Jennifer, I know you're listening and it's Monday and I'm going to make sure this is posted so you can listen to it. Please come to my desk and let me know if I'm cynical. Thank you so much. I love you. So Jenny and I work together. She sits up at the front.
Sidebar.
Sidebar. Yes. This is off the record. But anyway, just to kind of wrap up Daniel and me, I thought he was so full of shit. He would tell me stories, these wild stories.
Outlandish.
Outlandish. And I was like, this guy is full of shit. This guy, but he treated me so well. Because, I mean, we broke up several times. And those are for other reasons not to be discussed today. But I remember thinking to myself, and I didn't have a lot of friends. I'm very introverted. I have a very small group of friends. And I'm like, I think I did tell Heather, this guy's full of shit. And she's like, why are you still with him? I said, because he's funny. He makes me laugh and he treats me so well. But like his stories, like there's something wrong with this guy. And then I met his mother, and it wasn't on the first meeting her because we didn't really talk. We just met. But when I started spending time with your mother and she started telling me the stories that you were telling me, I was like, oh my God, this guy is not full of shit. Now he is full of shit in different ways, but
it's not nice.
But he seriously, like I would say, we were talking one day, just getting to know each other. And I was like, yeah, I rode a camel in Morocco when I was a teenager on a Spanish trip. And I was just talking about like our travels. And then all of a sudden, well, you know what I did? I went to Australia by myself and I drove blah, blah, blah and flew blah, blah, blah and did this and blah. And then I went surfing and then I lost my surfboard and da, 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 da. And I chased the guy down. And it was just like, what? I was just trying to, okay. I called him a one-upper for a long time. But anyway, let's circle back around. There goes my ADHD flying this morning. Coffee's kicking in. When it comes to people who say they're psychic or medium, I'm like, okay. Or even like the ghost shows that I watch. Like I watch those. Colin from Paranormal Files has the best history. And that's truly what I enjoy. He goes into the history of the buildings. But when it starts getting into the ghost hunt, the whole time I'm like, is this real?
Yeah.
Because I live in a haunted house and I am willing to put myself out there in the world and say, hey, everybody, I live in a haunted house. It doesn't happen every single time you ask it to.
Funny you say that because I haven't said anything to you yet this morning about this.
What?
But early this morning, probably about 7 o'clock, I heard somebody say something.
What?
It sounded like you. And
I was asleep.
Yeah, you were in the bed. But it sounded like somebody going to the laundry room to get something.
It wasn't Luke?
And said something. No, it was like a voice.
Oh, cool.
And then I heard something maybe 45 minutes later. It sounded like somebody coming out of this room.
Really?
But this door was closed.
Yeah, this door, we keep this door closed, the office door, because my dog likes to come in here.
Yeah, it sounded like somebody. And the dogs were in our room.
Yeah, the dogs were asleep next to our bed.
And it sounded like somebody was leaving this room.
Oh, that's cool. I was out. Yeah. I was dreaming about a serial killer.
And I literally, because I rolled over and I touched you.
You did touch me. I remember you touching me.
Because I was seeing if you were in the bed and I was like, okay, she's still in the bed. I don't know what that was.
That's cool.
But she's here.
Yeah. Well, we are getting off on a tangent. It's fine. It's fine. My listeners who love me, they understand. The other morning, so in my office is my guest bed, and I love this room, and I would sleep in this room if Daniel would be okay with me sleeping in this room.
Negative.
He does not want me sleeping in another room. But when I can't sleep, I have issues sleeping. We've talked about this before. I'm an insomniac. I have a really hard time sleeping. I'll come into this room and I'll go to sleep, and I sleep very good in here. And we got a new light in my office / guest room. Daniel did not hang this light. It was hung by a licensed electrician. And it does have a remote, but we've been sitting in here. The other night, it came on its own and went back off. And I was sitting in here awake. But the other morning, I was in bed and getting ready to get up to go to work. And the light turned on and then turned back off. And the same time that it turned on and turned back off, a jolt of energy shot through my body. It was just this jolt of energy. It was wild. So with that said, like these ghost hunting shows, living in a haunted house, I'm skeptical of the ghost hunting shows. I mean, I love them because they're entertaining, and some of these guys, they just make me laugh and they're so cute. They remind me of little boys who are, I mean, because they're in their 20s or 30s, but they're
like little kids
yes,
on the playground.
It's almost like they're playing imagination and they're out there and they're having a good time. And so I'm very skeptical of some of those shows, but I watch them for mainly entertainment value. But living in something like this, it doesn't happen. I'm like, hey, turn the light on. If you're here, turn the light on. Nothing. Or make a knock. I've knocked before. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
It is usually when I'm not wanting it to happen
It's
or
just
not.
random.
Yeah, there's no kind of
Rhyme or reason.
right. If it doesn't work like what YouTube shows show. So I am skeptical of some things. But anyway, so I had my very first reading. So I found her through Selena Spooky Boo. And I followed her. She did a contest or like a giveaway where you had to share, like, comment, whatever. So I did. And I won. And I was like, heck yeah. This way I can, I really wanted to talk to her for, I think, a year, close to a year. But because I'm skeptical, I haven't booked a reading or anything. But this was my opportunity that had nothing to lose. And I was like, let's do it. Let's try it. Let's see what she says. So I had the recording. I asked her if I could talk about it on the podcast. I did not ask her if I could share the reading. I am going to talk about some of the things she talked about on it. Not going to get into everything because some of it was very personal and something that I am a fairly private when it comes to personal things like that. I don't want to share publicly, but I do want to talk about some of the things she talked about. Daniel did listen to it, and he's with me on some of it. Some of it, I will admit, if you listen to every single episode of my podcast, you could infer.
Yeah.
Some of the things that, talking about my ancestors and talking about like having clairsentience, like I've talked about that on my podcast. But then on the other side of that coin, you have to, remember this was a free reading. And Valerie has 5 children. So how much time is she truly going to invest looking me up and listening to every episode for a 20-minute free reading?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like, this has been my thought process that I've talked about with you. I've talked about with Jenny, just trying to figure out like how much time is she really going to invest in this? And then I'm like, well, maybe she Google searched me. My name is not uncommon. I'm not the only one with my name in this world. So it's like, okay, so even if she Googled me, she would have to know exactly who I was and where I lived to kind of narrow some of this stuff down. She started out asking me what kind of reading I wanted. And I was just like, I don't care. This is my first reading ever, so I really don't have a preference. So she's like, whatever comes through. I said, sure, whatever comes through. And one of the first things she said was, you have a middle name that you left out.
Yeah, because you just told her your name was...
Yeah, I just told her my name. But yes, I just told her I did have to give her my name, but I did not give her my full name. I didn't give her my maiden name. I didn't give her my birth name. I didn't give her anything like that. I just gave her my name, and you have a middle name that you left out. Does that make sense? So just to touch on that, anybody that looks me up might be able to infer that my name has changed because I'm, almost 40 and I've been married a few times. But the significance of that is she said one of my ancestors or spirit guides on the other side is my grandmother, or a strong female presence. That strong female presence, she later told me, was a grandmother. But the reason that it kind of gave me chills is because my grandmother was very particular about my middle name. She loved my middle name. It's my father's middle name. And she was very proud of my name. And she even got a little upset when my mother changed the spelling of my middle name. And so to hear that first thing that Valerie said was, you have a middle name that you left out, I was like, oh no. Because I did. When I got married all those years ago, I dropped my middle name. And she was very proud of my middle name. So that, she could have inferred that just from if she did find me on social media. But
Yeah.
It was just the way it was said. It just made me laugh because my grandmother is very strong-willed, or was very strong-willed. I say is because if spirits do exist and she is a spirit guide and she is a presence, then she is no different. There's no way she's any different than she was, because she is a pistol. Yeah. She was 4'11", Lebanese, and a Spitfire.
Yeah, it sounds like my great-grandmother, Big Mama.
Big Mama.
Who was not big.
No,
but
tiny.
Huge personality.
Yeah. Yeah, Bet had a big personality, and, she raised 3 boys, and my dad and his brothers, tall, big men. And then you have this itty bitty woman who commanded them. And it was always a sight to see. And they loved their mom, the big old boys with this itty bitty mother. And it was just, it kind of reminds me of your mom and you and your brother being as big as y'all are, tall and towering over her and your sister. And, you know, Mimi's got these big old boys. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But Bet was much smaller than your mom, like just 4'11". Like she was tiny. So that was how we started. And that got my attention. I still went in with an open mind, but I was more on the skeptical side just because I'm thinking, I am an investigator on the internet. If my friends want to find something, they contact me. And you know that. I can find anything. If it's out there, I can find it. So that's where I was when this started. And then she started getting into numerology. Numerology. That's what it's called, numerology?
Yes.
And that is when you add the years of in your date of birth and you get your life number. I know my life number because I watched an episode of YouTube and they talked about it. So I figured mine and yours out. Mine is 3, yours is 11. And so she went into the significance of the number 3, which is actually, my birth number is actually 30, but it breaks down to 3 because it only goes up so high. And she said, something really important happened. Your life changed when you were 30 years old. Now, this is something that I have not talked about.
Right.
This is something you knew because you have been with me for 5 going on 6 years. You knew that when I was 30 years old, I made a huge decision that changed my life. Huge. And this is something that my family knows because they supported me when I took these steps to make this decision. But nobody, unless you truly know how significant it was.
Right. So
when I was 30 years old, I made one of the toughest decisions of my life. And I walked away from something that wasn't horrible, but it wasn't for me. And I knew that it was a huge decision, and it was a decision that changed the whole trajectory of my adult life for the past 10 years. And I haven't regretted it. It was hard. It was horrible at times. Yeah. It was heartbreaking at times, but it was actually the best decision I've ever made because it changed my whole adult life. Mm-hmm. And that is not something I've talked about. But she said, you made a huge decision to change your life when you were 30 years old. That's when you opened up and you were ready to move into this new direction. And that got me.
Yeah.
Like I almost started to cry because that is not something that I talk about. It is not something I talk about.
Yeah.
So that was huge. And she also talked about how spirits are attracted to me, which made me laugh because I've talked about that before. I feel like, I've told people before, they just kind of find me. And she said that I attract spirits who have not crossed over, spirits that are negative. How fun is that? And it's not that they're negative in nature. They're negative because they're angry because they're lost and they want to cross over, but they're stuck. And I'm like, well, great. And so I made a joke and I was like, yeah, I live with one. And she goes, oh. And I said, yes, he doesn't really like me. And she goes, no, he actually does. So I was like, no. And she's like, no, he knows you feel him. He does not know how to communicate with you. So he's scaring you. So it's funny that she said that because the last time he scared me was in January. And I had to sleep in that room upstairs. And then I cussed him out and flung holy water all around the room. And he hasn't really been bothering me since. So sometimes I don't feel him. Other times I do. I don't know. It's gotten really quiet for the most part here. And we hear things. The girls have heard footsteps up there and stuff like that. But it slowed down a lot compared to what it was. But she said that they are attracted to me because I can sense them. And she said if I hone in that ability that I will be able to communicate with them more. And I'm like, what? So, it's just, that's something that I have to make a decision, whether, and she said that I have been wanting to kind of explore that area of my abilities more, but I'm scared to, and I'm hesitant to, which is very true because I feel like when I'm too open, negative things happen. Yeah. And I don't know how to protect myself from opening up. Yeah. And I don't like getting sick. I don't like having headaches. I don't like throwing up.
Yeah, it's more than just being vulnerable.
Yes, because it's an energy. When we were at a play last night, and one of the performers, I don't know her, but the moment she came out on the stage, I was overwhelmed with emotion. and I almost started to cry. And I told Daniel after, I think she was so nervous that she was on the verge of tears because the moment she walked off stage, that feeling went away. So I don't know if I was picking up on her emotion, but I think she was so nervous because it was opening night. And so emotion and energy affects me in weird ways. And that is something that terrifies me because I have seen shadows move and instantly gotten sick. That whole year we've moved into this house, I was sick and the doctors couldn't find any reason as to why I was having joint pain and why I was having migraines every day and why I was ending up in the emergency room and why my cortisol levels like dropped to like non-existent and then all of a sudden came back. Like there was no explanation for why I was sick. Mm-hmm. I am very hesitant to explore because I don't know enough.
Right.
I'm ignorant when it comes to how to protect yourself, and they do affect me.
Sure.
So, but yeah, we talked about that and that really, but she also said, this is another thing that got me. Like, if you're a listener and you've listened to this, you know that I struggle with sleep. I've talked about it in this episode, but she said that they communicate with me in my sleep, in my dreams, and that, or they use there's something with my sleep and I can come in and out of, like I can be awake and like dreaming in my awake state.
Like she described it as daydreaming.
Yeah, she described it as daydreaming. But like I can almost like zone out while awake and be in a dream state, which is true. I'm very good at zoning out. But she said I started it as a kid and they just told me I was daydreaming. And, I was always told I had an overactive imagination. That's what I was told. And I did daydream a lot. It's something with my sleep, which makes sense because I can come out of sleep and say, let me sleep, and then go back to sleep.
Yeah.
They do talk to me in my sleep. They do interfere with my sleep. The sleep paralysis, the really vivid dreams, my lost loved ones coming to me in my dreams and hugging me and talking to me. So that was something really crazy for me. And again, if she was really invested and wanted to really be a really well-rounded person trying to just take my money, which I was not giving her because this was free, then she could have inferred that from previous episodes. But something about her I'm drawn to. I really liked her. I really liked her. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
She was very calming.
Yeah.
She's got 5 kids.
Yeah, that's crazy.
5. We have 3. She's got 5. She's outnumbered. Mm-hmm. But she also said that I have a very strong, one of my strongest spirit guides, or on my spirit team is how she put it, is a grandmother. Mm-hmm. And she asked if my mom's mom had passed. And I said, no, my dad's mom. And she said, did your dad's mom love your mom like a daughter? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, she goes, that's rare because most mother-in-laws don't love their daughters, or daughter-in-laws like daughters, but yours did. And when you are talking to your spirit guides, she is the strongest, and that's the voice you need to hear when you can feel them talking to you, is your grandmother. It just kind of made me feel good because I always thought it was my grandfather. Mm-hmm. And it, you never know, it might be, but I never really thought about Bet being around. Mm-hmm. Because she just had places to go. Mm-hmm. She had things to do. She was busy with her big old purse and her big old Cadillac and a cigarette in her hand and her hair nicely done. She was going places. Mm-hmm. I never thought she'd be hanging around and being like, excuse me, you left out your middle name. So I do plan to do maybe a longer reading with her. And, maybe, I don't know. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Probably the thing that fascinates me the most is the numerology, which I've always been interested in numerology.
Yours is 11.
Yeah.
I've worked it out. Do you want to know what that means?
Sure.
Okay. The number 11 in numerology is a master number that represents intuition, sensitivity, spirituality, and duality, which I always thought yours and mine got confused. People with 11 in their numerology have a strong sense of intuition and compassion for others. They are also optimistic, wise, and influential. The number 11 is a combination of the meanings of numbers 1 and 2, but on a higher and more spiritual level. It is also a connection between the physical and spiritual realms. So what she told me is my number is 3. which is also, it's for 30. The number 3 in numerology is a symbol of creativity, self-expression, and social interaction. See, this is why I thought ours got confused. People who resonate with this number are often artistic, charismatic, and optimistic. They have a talent for communicating effectively and inspiring others. They also have a positive attitude and a lot of empathy. Okay, yeah, well, that is me. The number 3 is a sign of growth, joy, and imagination. And she also said it is what did she call it? I can't remember. But she said that it's 3 because the actual numbers only go to a certain number. So that's why I always thought my number stopped at 3, but she said it's actually 30. Yeah, so what's funny is when she said 30, it was a significant year and significant number. Daniel's favorite number is 2, and my favorite number is 28.
Yeah.
And together it's 30. Mm-hmm. Math. Numbers are fun.
Yeah. That's why I like the numerology.
But you get it by adding your numbers together, and there's an equation which I didn't think I did it right, so that's why I never really thought 3 was actually my number, because I was like, I didn't do that right, but I did do it right. Yeah. But so she kind of broke that down, and I thought that was really cool. Yeah. That is fascinating to me. You know what also is fascinating to me? It's like a birth chart. I can't remember. I looked at Vegas because I love Vegas. I love going to Vegas, and that is actually my line is not strong. My ascending line is not very good there. I don't know what any of that means, but I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's cool because it's all these equations and all these graphs and maps, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of this means, but I do think that it's really cool. Yeah. There's so much more to it than there's a ghost in my closet. There's a snake in my boot. But yes, that was my reading. There was more, but I don't want to
delve into that.
No, I don't want to share all that because that's personal, and I do draw a line somewhere.
Sure.
So Daniel knows I'm on the fence about some of the things she said. It wasn't bad. Nothing was bad. Everything was good and positive, and everything made sense to me. There was nothing that didn't make sense to me, but still personal. But it was really cool. I do recommend it. She has given me a code for 20% off for my listeners. So if you are interested in having a reading with Valerie, you can use Ghost Gossip 20. I will put that in the show notes, and just tell her that I sent you. And I hope that you have an amazing reading like I did. I will be scheduling another one with her soon. I cannot wait to hear more. And I hope that you're able, if you're interested, I highly recommend just giving her a try. Tell her I said hi. What you doing, babe?
I think it's called a natal chart.
A natal? What is it? How do you spell it?
Natal.
I don't think that's it. No, that's not it. Oh, astral cartography. Is that it? Did I say that right? Astral cartography lines. Am I saying that right? Cartography. Astral cartography, which can also be referred to as locational astrology is in a type of astrology popularized between the 1930s to the 1960s that factors in the influence of specific locations on Earth as they correspond to your astrological chart.
Yeah, so cartography is map making.
Yes, so this is a map.
Almost was a cartographer in the Army.
You love maps. Mm-hmm. But yes, it is a map, and it has lines. It has ascending lines, descending lines, and some other things. And it is actually really cool. And I did mine before, and
I'm doing mine now.
Vegas is not a place that I am ascending. I think I had a descending line there. But I love Vegas, and we're actually going back for my 40th birthday. So maybe that's not right. I don't know. There is a website that I did look at, and you can put your information in there, and it will actually show you your ascending lines and descending lines and all those step factors. So it is really cool. There's just, like I said, there's just ascendant line. Sorry, not ascending, ascendant line. Check that out if you're interested. But again, if you want to go see Valerie, the Intuition Witch, you can find her at the Intuition Witch on Instagram. You can also find her at the Intuition Witch on TikTok, and tell her I sent you. Ghost Gossip 20 will save you 20%. What you doing, babe?
I'm looking at my astral. Duh.
There was a website I heard on Two Girls, One Ghost, and they told me the website. And that day I went there and looked it up, and it was really cool.
Are they referencing Two Girls, One Cup?
I think so, but I never really understood the reference, so...
You've never watched that video?
No, what is it?
You need to look up.
I don't want to. I don't want to. No.
Then you can appreciate their name.
Well, they are very funny.
Do it.
Okay, not right now. They are very funny. Two Girls, One Ghost. But yes, they always make reference to their name and how their dad is, or one of their dads is like, I don't get it. And they kind of just like laugh. So I always figured it was probably something inappropriate. Is it inappropriate?
You just have to watch it.
It's inappropriate. But anyway, so they were talking about this and how they had somebody do theirs for them and explain it to them. And I would like somebody to do that for me. So maybe Valerie knows something about that. Maybe she can read my astrocartography. I didn't say that right, did I?
Cartography.
Oh my God. Words are hard.
That's a fun word to say.
Cartography.
I also like topography.
Topography. See, that I know. That word I know.
What is topography?
Like the landscape?
Yeah.
Like the way it moves?
Yeah, the undulations, the contours.
Oh, see, a few episodes ago I said he is the word man, and I use very basic words. Topography. I do know what it means, but what did you say?
It's the contours and undulations.
Undulations. The word of the day today, folks, is undulations.
Do you know what bathymetry is?
What?
Bathymetry?
It sounds like the witch or the nun or the lady from The Conjuring, Bathsheba.
Bathymetry is basically the contours and undulations under the ocean. It's basically topography under the ocean.
Oh.
It's topography of the ocean floor. All right, I have my astral.
Okay. We have just really deviated somewhere else. Where is I think the ascendant line is like the good line.
But I don't know what.
Do you see the lines?
Yeah, I see the lines.
Let me see your phone.
No, let me look at it.
Ooh, are you getting hostile that I wanted to look at your phone?
No. I'm getting hostile that you're not letting me look at it.
Oh, well, excuse me. What website did you use?
Astro.com. Just slip sliding away.
Slip sliding away. I slip sliding away.
So I don't know what these symbols mean.
I don't either.
Here we go.
There should be like a index or something.
Yeah.
I had a rat named Astro when I was in high school.
Was he a glider?
No, he was a Dumbo rat.
Well, this is interesting.
What?
So my Venus line runs through the Caribbean and East Coast, the Western Caribbean and East Coast Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
And it says, the emphasis here lies on all forms of relationships and shared experience. You feel estranged and unbalanced on your own, as if you were only half a person. The desire for completeness and intimate togetherness becomes the greatest motivating force in your life. You are prepared to put aside your own interest and to become fully available to accommodate the needs of your loved one. Your own personal interests lose their meaning, as it is far more important to love and be loved by another person. Generous compromises are made and small mistakes diplomatically overlooked. As a result of your obliging manner, you receive sympathy, friendship, and sincerity. You can feel rejuvenated by being in love and enjoy a happy and sociable time. Here, beautiful and pleasant people surround you. They attract you in a sensual and erotic way.
What?
And you long for closeness, tenderness, and a passion through... Hold on. Through meeting artists of all kinds, you gain insight into the fascinating world of shapes, colors, and sounds. This different way of living inspires your own creativity and conveys a feeling for a tighter, less complicated way of life.
Oh, that's spot on. Except the erotic part. What are you doing?
So that really makes sense to me in the sense of I have sailed those waters quite a bit in my life, and those are some of the, I guess, most relaxed I've ever felt and very inspired, and and a maritime life is a different way of life. So my Mercury line runs through Florida.
We love Florida. Is Mercury line a good thing?
I don't know. Let's see. So a lot of mine run through Central America, which is probably and very interesting.
that was my experience, my first ever experience with Valerie and the Intuition Witch. And I think that she's amazing. And I can't wait to, maybe we can have a couples reading. Maybe I would love to hear what she said about you.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Oh, I do too, because you, like, I know I have an online presence, but you really don't.
No.
So, like, with me, it's like, okay, well, you know, I'm not saying that I don't think she's real, because I really do. Like, something about her I was drawn to the first time I even just watched her on YouTube. So I don't know what that's saying, but I am drawn to her for whatever reason. And she doesn't have a huge following. She's not like famous. She seems genuine, and she seems like somebody that like I want to talk to for whatever reason. And so I was like, I wonder if you'd be open to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Well, I'll set that up, and then we can talk about yours.
Okay.
If you're comfortable.
We'll see how it comes out.
But anyway, again, to get a little bit of a discount and go try out Valerie, it's GhostGossip20. I've never had a code. I have a code.
You got a code.
I have a code. Have I made it? No, I really haven't. But somebody knows I have a code.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me a code to share. That's what I meant to say.
There you go.
Oh, look at me go. I have a code. Anyway, don't review this episode. This has been a hot mess. But you can if you want to. If you want to give me 5 stars or give me, this chick is like a wild chipmunk who didn't take her medication, which is fine, but you still love me. Okay. If you have a negative review, just shoot me an email. We can talk about it.
Yeah. Keep it to yourself.
Don't tell me anything. You'll be dead to me. You'll be on my list. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. And as always, they'll see you later.